Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the neon-lit chaos of Las Vegas, where every shadow seems to hide a secret and every corner hums with danger, Nick Newman finds himself stepping straight into a nightmare he never saw coming. What begins as a tense moment quickly turns into a brutal ambush when Matt Clark appears behind him with cold precision, giving Nick no time to react before a bag is shoved over his head. The world around Nick vanishes into darkness as he is forced into a disorienting struggle he cannot win, dragged away from safety and into the unknown. Moments later, he is thrown into a cold, lifeless storage room where the air feels heavy with dust and menace. His hands are bound tightly behind his back, stripping him of any control just as Matt prepares to reveal himself. When the bag is finally removed, Nick is forced to stare directly into the face of the man he already feared was behind everything, confirming that this nightmare is far from over. Matt stands before him with unsettling calm, savoring the control he now holds over Nick's fate, letting the silence stretch just long enough to break the tension. His taunts cut through the room like knives, each word carefully chosen to remind Nick of how far he has fallen into Matt's trap. As the confrontation deepens, Matt quickly realizes something even more dangerous. Nick is no longer just cornered, he is compromised, struggling under the weight of a drug addiction that has quietly taken hold of him. That weakness becomes a weapon in Matt's hands, something he can twist, manipulate, and exploit as this deadly game escalates. Nick, trapped and restrained, is forced to listen as Matt turns his vulnerability into leverage, setting the stage for a far more sinister phase of manipulation and psychological warfare. Meanwhile, miles away from the suffocating walls of that storage room, Adam Newman begins to feel the fragile foundation of their plan collapsing in real time. The moment he realizes that Nick has been taken, panic sets in with a force he cannot suppress, his mind racing through every possible outcome, each one darker than the last. The idea that Nick might not make it out alive haunts him, especially now that everything has spiraled far beyond their control in Las Vegas. Despite their complicated history, Adam had promised to stand by his brother through this dangerous ordeal, and that vow now weighs heavily on him as fear and guilt collide. Yet, even as he tries to process the situation, there is a growing sense that Matt's reach may extend further than Nick alone, and that Adam himself could easily become the next target in this unfolding disaster. At the same time, another dangerous thread begins to tighten as suspicion falls on Reza Thompson, with Matt likely believing she has betrayed him and set the stage for Nick's capture. That suspicion alone places Reza in a perilous position where her life could be hanging by the thinnest thread as Matt's paranoia deepens. In a twisted escalation, there is even the looming possibility that Matt could manipulate events in such a way that Adam is blamed for her potential death, dragging him deeper into a web of chaos and guilt he never intended to enter. Back in Genoa City, Chelsea Lawson's instincts refuse to be ignored, as she senses that something about this entire Vegas situation is dangerously off, even if she cannot yet explain why. Despite attempts to dissuade her, Sharon Newman may find herself unable to stop Chelsea from heading straight into the storm, and in a surprising turn, she may choose to accompany her instead, refusing to let her face the danger alone. With Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall also drawn into the escalating crisis, Noah determined to protect Sharon and Sienna unwilling to stand on the sidelines, the situation in Las Vegas is set to explode into a larger confrontation. As the tension builds, Matt soon finds himself increasingly outnumbered, and the stage is set for a volatile clash where every decision could change everything in an instant. As the tension in Las Vegas continues to build, the city itself seems to close in around the unfolding chaos, its bright lights contrasting sharply with the darkness taking shape behind closed doors. Nick remains trapped in the storage room, the weight of his situation growing heavier with every passing second, especially as Matt begins to tighten his psychological grip. What once felt like a simple abduction now transforms into something far more calculated, as Matt circles him like a predator who has already studied every weakness. Nick's struggle is no longer just physical restraint, but an internal battle against fear, frustration, and the growing realization that his vulnerability has become part of the enemy's strategy. Every word Matt speaks is designed not just to intimidate, but to dismantle Nick's sense of control piece by piece, leaving him increasingly isolated in the suffocating silence of the room. Outside that sealed darkness, Adam's panic deepens into something far more urgent as he tries to piece together where everything went wrong. The weight of responsibility presses down on him, especially knowing that he promised Nick he would not let things spiral out of control. Now, however, control is exactly what they have lost, and the fear that Nick could be lost forever begins to take hold of his thoughts. The situation becomes even more dangerous with the realization that Matt may not stop at Nick, and that every move Adam makes from this point forward could determine whether he is helping or accidentally making things worse. In the distance, the boundaries between ally and target begin to blur, and Adam is forced to confront the terrifying possibility that this mission in Las Vegas has turned into something far deadlier than they ever prepared for. Back in the heart of the unfolding storm, Reza Thompson becomes an even more fragile piece in Matt's escalating game of suspicion and revenge. With Matt convinced that betrayal is at play, her safety hangs in a precarious balance as paranoia threatens to push him toward irreversible decisions. The air around her situation grows heavier with uncertainty, as every assumption Matt makes could trigger consequences no one is ready to face. At the same time, the looming possibility that Adam could be framed for something far worse adds another layer of tension, tightening the web of danger that now surrounds them all. Nothing in Las Vegas feels stable anymore, as every character moves closer to a breaking point shaped by fear, mistrust, and manipulation. As multiple paths converge toward the same explosive destination, Chelsea, Sharon, Noah, and Sienna draw nearer to the city that is already teetering on the edge of chaos. Chelsea's instincts continue to push her forward, refusing to let her ignore the sense that Nick is in serious danger, while Sharon stands beside her, equally determined not to let her go alone into uncertainty. Noah's protective urgency adds another force driving them forward, while Sienna's resolve strengthens the group as they prepare to face a threat none of them fully understand yet. Together they move into the heart of the storm, unaware of just how deeply entangled they are about to become in Matt's dangerous game. And as Las Vegas prepares to bring all these threads together, the sense of an inevitable explosive confrontation grows stronger, one that could finally tip the balance between control and complete chaos. The deeper they move into Las Vegas, the more the atmosphere begins to feel like a trap closing in from every direction, as if the city itself is silently guiding them toward a confrontation already in motion. Nick's captivity reaches a more dangerous emotional peak as the isolation starts to wear him down, each passing moment stretching the tension into something almost unbearable. Matt, still standing over him with unsettling confidence, continues to play his psychological game with chilling patience, treating Nick less like a person and more like a problem he intends to break down piece by piece. The storage room becomes a pressure chamber of fear and control, where every breath Nick takes feels measured against Matt's growing dominance. And with Matt fully aware of Nick's weakened state, the situation shifts into something even more volatile as he begins to consider how far he can push before everything finally snaps. Adam, meanwhile, finds himself spiraling between urgency and helplessness as he tries desperately to track the consequences of Nick's abduction. Every instinct in him tells him that time is slipping away too quickly and that whatever Matt is planning is moving faster than they can respond to. The promise he made to stand by Nick transforms into a heavy burden, one that now feels like it is slipping through his fingers no matter how tightly he tries to hold on. Fear for Nick's life becomes impossible to ignore, especially with the growing awareness that Matt is not just acting out of anger, but out of calculated intent. In that realization, Adam understands that this is no longer just a rescue situation, it is a race against a mind that is already several steps ahead. The danger surrounding Reza Thompson intensifies further as suspicion continues to cloud every decision Matt makes, pulling her deeper into a position she may not be able to escape. In Matt's fractured mindset, betrayal is no longer a theory but a certainty he is determined to punish, and that belief puts Reza in immediate jeopardy. The possibility of her being used as part of a larger frame-up against Adam adds yet another layer of instability to an already collapsing situation. Trust has completely eroded, and in its place is a dangerous mix of paranoia and retaliation that threatens to consume everyone involved. Each new assumption Matt makes feels like another spark near an already burning fuse, and no one is close enough to stop the explosion from coming. As all of this unfolds in the shadows, Chelsea, Sharon, Noah, and Sienna finally converge on the path that leads them directly into the heart of the crisis. Their journey, once driven by instinct and concern, now transforms into something far more urgent as the weight of what they are walking into begins to settle over them. Chelsea's determination hardens as she refuses to turn back, convinced that something catastrophic is happening to Nick and that every second matters. Sharon matches that resolve, refusing to let Chelsea face the danger alone, while Noah's protective instincts sharpen into readiness for confrontation. Sienna, standing with them, becomes part of a unified front that is unknowingly stepping straight into Matt's carefully constructed storm. And as Las Vegas tightens its grip around them all, the promise of a massive, inevitable showdown looms closer than ever, one where every hidden truth, every betrayal, and every desperate choice is finally about to collide. Inside the suffocating silence of the storage room, Nick's situation grows increasingly unstable as the psychological pressure from Matt continues to build with methodical precision. The space feels smaller now, not because the walls have moved, but because fear has filled every empty corner, pressing in on Nick's thoughts until there is almost nowhere left to breathe. Matt's presence remains unnervingly calm, yet that calm only deepens the threat, as if he is completely in control of how long this suffering will continue. Nick, restrained and vulnerable, is forced to endure not just captivity, but the unsettling realization that Matt is enjoying the slow unraveling of his control. Every passing moment becomes another layer of manipulation as Matt studies him, waiting for the exact point where pressure turns into collapse. Outside this sealed nightmare, Adam's desperation reaches a breaking point as he tries to regain even the smallest sense of direction in a situation that is rapidly slipping beyond recovery. The fear that Nick is being systematically broken down becomes impossible to ignore, and with it comes the crushing weight of responsibility for not preventing this outcome sooner. Every decision Adam considers now feels dangerous, as though one wrong move could seal Nick's fate permanently. Yet standing still is not an option either, and that helpless tension begins to eat away at his judgment. In the middle of this emotional storm, Adam is forced to confront the brutal truth that he may be the only one capable of acting quickly enough to change the outcome, even if he has no clear path forward. At the same time, Reza Thompson's position becomes even more precarious as Matt's suspicion hardens into something far more dangerous and irrational. What began as doubt has now transformed into certainty in his mind, and that certainty drives him toward decisions that could have devastating consequences. Reza becomes a symbol of betrayal in a narrative she may not fully understand, placing her directly in the path of Matt's growing need for control and retaliation. The idea of framing Adam continues to loom in the background, adding another layer of danger that ties every character closer to catastrophe. In this environment, truth no longer matters, only perception does, and that shift makes everything infinitely more unstable. Meanwhile, Chelsea, Sharon, Noah, and Sienna push forward into the heart of Las Vegas, now fully aware that they are entering something far more dangerous than they initially expected. The emotional urgency that brought them together has evolved into a shared determination, as each of them understands that turning back would mean abandoning someone they care about to an uncertain fate. Chelsea's instincts grow sharper with every step, refusing to let doubt slow her down, while Sharon remains steady beside her, offering quiet strength in the face of rising fear. Noah's focus tightens as he prepares for whatever confrontation awaits them, and Sienna's resolve solidifies into something unshakable as the group moves as one. And as the distance between all these converging paths disappears, Las Vegas stands ready to bring every hidden secret, every betrayal, and every desperate struggle into a single explosive collision that no one will be able to avoid.